to Fifth Gear, the show with all the sexiest, fastest cars on TV. This time I'm behind the wheel of the most famous one in the world, James Bond's almost priceless Aston Martin DB5. And the gadgets work. Also, Jonny conducts a shocking crash test to find out whether you're safer in the front of a car or the back. And Tiff wrings the neck of the most powerful Vauxhall on sale. Now it's time for something a little different. We wanted to see how fast Jason Plato would be in the pinnacle of motorsport technology, a Formula One car. The results are seriously impressive.
Welcome to the international headquarters of the fastest Formula One team on the grid. Having just won the Constructors' title and with both drivers taking it to the wire to become 2010 Formula One World Champion, Red Bull are on fire. Today I've got an exclusive glimpse into one of the key reasons for their success, their Formula One simulator. And I'm not just come here to drive it on my own. I'm going to challenge F1 star David Coulthard to a race. But first, I'll let DC explain just how important it is to the team's success.
When I first started in Formula One, they didn't exist, but as technology has improved over the last decade or more, then simulators play an increasing role. So what you're about to get the chance to have a drive in is a very sophisticated tool that the drivers, the current Grand Prix drivers, as well as the team, will use to go faster.
So, time for that race.
Shall we agree on Silverstone, GP?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Ladies first.
Go on then. DC's going to put in his very best lap time around the new British Grand Prix circuit. And then it's my turn to show him that us touring car drivers can race more than just saloons.
I could spend all day in here.
With 247 race starts and 13 wins to his name, not to mention 4 years racing with his very same team, today is just another day in the office for DC.
Oh, see that for a slide and hold.
This is a man who's mastered the art of giving it 100% while pretending not to give a monkeys.
Oh, is that a spin, DC?
Oh, no. That's what my son would say. Oh, no, Daddy. Being in the same room as a TV legend and a racing god, I cracked.
Come on, just nail the lap. You've got one more lap.
OK, let's keep it together.
He may look relaxed, but he's still a racing driver, and he does not want to be beaten by a touring car ruffian. Here's a glimpse of what a Formula One driver's face looks like behind their reflective visors.
35.6 then. When the pressure was on, that's what you managed.
Not good enough.
I'm feeling a bit racy, a bit punchy now.
At this point, I adopted David's technique of trying not to look bothered on the outside, but being deeply competitive on the inside.
All right then. So, obviously, try not to crash on the first lap. You know, the loadings through the steering wheel, they kind of feel like this should be right. And also the movement in the chassis, it actually does feel connected with what I'm seeing on the screens. Oh! Oh!
With the screen so big and the action so fast, my eyes and head couldn't keep up.
Look at this.
I was charting unknown territory.
I think I've gone over the wall.
Oh, you have? Good. Bunny hop the barrier. Turn left. Keep going. There's a hospitality tent on your left-hand side.
Yeah.
Behind that, there's a beer tent. That's where I am. Come and join me in the beer tent.
OK, Jason, this is it. Last lap.
Right, OK, come on. I'm probably going to be a bit quiet now.
In reality, I wasn't going anywhere, but in my mind, I was qualifying for the British Grand Prix. I had David's time of 1 minute 35.6 to beat.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Look at the speed he's taken through there. Steady, steady. That's good, Jason.
It's terrible. Slow down. You're on target. Oh, I'm in real trouble now.
$34.28.
Astonishing! My time of 1 minute 34.28 was 1.3 seconds faster than DC's. After spinning more times than I'd like to remember, getting stuck nose first in the grass and ending up in no man's land, I was amazed. OK, so I didn't suffer the enormous G-forces of a real F1 car, but DC was well and truly beaten.
Mate, I'm a bit pumped up and a bit sweaty. It's hard work.
Even for me, you know, having raced these things for a couple of years, I feel it on my forearms. By the end of their Grand Prix distance, they'll have a bit of a sweat on.
Remind me of the times? How did it all pan out?
I thought you said we weren't going to discuss that.
I think
it was ladies
I think
first.
that's enough.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, meet the greatest movie car of all time. Even by the standards of Hollywood, this Aston Martin DB5 is incredibly special. As driven by James Bond in the 1960s, today it's the star of one of the most talked about motoring events of the year as it goes up for sale at a glamorous London auction.
The bid here.
Knowing there'd be an enormous fuss at the auction itself, I've come down early for a once-in-a-lifetime test drive. The reasons to be excited are endless. For starters, it is the most famous car in the world because it starred with Sean Connery in two of the best Bond films ever, Goldfinger and Thunderball. It's also incredibly rare, just two were made for filming. The original gadget-laden one was stolen in 1997 and believed to be destroyed, so this is the sole survivor. As there's only one, and because it's expected to reach over £3 million when it goes on sale, the car is uninsurable. So my drive is restricted to the private grounds of the auction house. But I don't mind because I'm sitting on leather that was once sculpted by Sean Connery's buttocks. This car hasn't been seen much in the last few decades. In 1969, it was bought by American collector Jerry Lee, and although he showed it off for a little while, it was then withdrawn from public view. Until now. And we've been really missing out. Not only is it one of a kind, it also drives wonderfully. The steering wheel may be wooden, but it's got more feel to it than many modern power-assisted systems. And the car's heavy weight does make it heave a bit round the bends, even at these low speeds. So Bond would have had his work cut out when in hot pursuit, but he would have been able to feel everything, which a keen driver like himself would have appreciated. Behind the headlines and the 007 heritage, this DB5 drives exactly as Aston Martin intended. Under the bonnet is a 4-litre, 282-horsepower engine that thrusts it to 60 miles an hour in less than 8 seconds with a top speed of 145 miles an hour. It's not just the performance that makes this car so exciting, it's the gadgets, most of which are controlled underneath the armrest. They were designed by a man called John Steers, who went on to work on Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Star Wars. Thrillingly, most of them still work. So if you needed a change of identity, just turn this. If the bullets start flying, erect this. And if there's something in your way, you can always blast it aside with a machine gun. And what about that famous ejector seat? Now, although this is fitted with a roof that fires off, the actual ejector seat was only rigged to a dummy vehicle. There is this, though, the most famous button in the world. Unlike James Bond, we don't have access to someone like Q to bring these gadgets back to life, but I'm sure our special effects give you the right idea. All too soon, the DB5 was taken to the auction, and to avoid the risk of accidentally buying it by scratching my nose, I left the millionaires to it. Eventually, it sold for a bargain, £2.6 million, £500,000 below the estimate, to classic car collector Harry Yeagy. I hope he drives it as it should be driven, blasting through the Alps with the machine guns out and the bullet shield up. Welcome back to Fifth Gear. Now it's time for a shootout. 2 cars, 1 twisty track, and Tiff answering a very simple question. Which is quickest?
For 30 years, Audi have made brutally powerful four-wheel drive saloons better than anyone else. This £37,000 S4 is one of their finest, but now it's under threat. The Vauxhall Insignia VXR is £5 cheaper and desperate to beat the Germans at their own game. Just like the Audi, it's got a V6 engine, grippy four-wheel drive, and its maximum power of 321 bhp is just 7 horses behind. Yes, it's 150 kilograms heavier than the Audi, but that might not be enough to prevent a win. Up first, with everything to prove, it's the Vauxhall.
The Insignia VXR is built only about a couple of hours down the road from Audi. And it's the first time for a while that they've come up with a sport saloon with four-wheel drive to take on the great Vorsprung Duckers head-to-head. I've got a sport button already on, which sharpens up the suspension, makes it a bit stiffer for track use. It's also got a VXR button. That sharpens up both the throttle and steering to give it a bit of a woo-hoo, hey. But whilst this car is already entertaining to drive, it's got one big handicap. It weighs 1,825 kilograms. Now that's a massive weight for a car of this size. Oh, so whilst it seems very enthusiastic, I fear it's going to suffer from being a tad on the lardy side.
Time for a fast lap.
There we go. Whoa, catch that one. That's beautiful too. Whoa, 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 whoa. No, please stop, please stop, please stop. I'm really enjoying driving this Insignia, I tell you.
The Insignia VXR posts time of 1 minute 26.3 seconds. Can the Audi fend it off?
But certainly the surge of acceleration, it does feel a bit quicker, I have to immediately say. It's about the handling now. Now, I can't turn all the stability program off, so I'm in dynamic mode, and I tell you what, there's plenty of dynamism there. Even before I start my time lap, I fear that the Insignia's brief hope of glory is all but over, because this is such a sorted four-wheel drive system.
Start the clock.
A little bit of oversteer, just like the Vauxhall. But then the surge of acceleration, the car leaps out of the corner without that handicap of weight.
At the first checkpoint, the Audi is ahead by 1/10 of a second.
The tight right, will it fall sideways to help? No, it doesn't. It just sits neatly and punches out of the corner.
At the second checkpoint, the Audi has increased its lead to 1.3 seconds.
Well, it could all be lost with too much oversteer. Was that too much? I don't know. The clock's going to tell us very soon.
The S4 crosses the line in 1 minute 24.3, 2 seconds quicker than the Insignia. With superior grip, agility and power, it's proof that Audi still make the best four-wheel drive saloons.
And now for something much more serious. Imagine you're driving down the motorway and suddenly see a car that's broken down. You slam the brakes on, but you can't stop in time. Smash! You've piled into it, still travelling at 50 miles an hour. Would you rather be sitting in the front of the car or the back?
Common sense would dictate to be as far away from the point of impact as possible, i.e. here in the back. That way you've got no dashboard or steering wheel to smash your head into. You've got no engine to burst through onto your chest, and you've definitely got no pedals or wheels to come up through the footwell and wrap around your legs. But all the cutting-edge technology is here, in the front. Airbags to cushion your head, seatbelt pretensioners to keep you firmly in place. Bizarrely, all this equipment perhaps makes it safer to be closer to the point of the impact.
The truth is, nobody really knows. So today I'm going to conduct my own test to find out, because we should all know whether the front or rear seat is safest.
This Ford Focus, a modern 4 Euro NCAP star car, is going to be propelled into a solid block at 50 miles an hour, the kind of speed you might be carrying on the motorway, having slammed on the brakes. Inside the car will be 2 passengers, well, dummies, one in the front and one in the back. Now, what happens to these two on impact could make you seriously think about where you and your loved ones sit in a car.
There's no precedent for what's going to happen. Even the experts here at the Crash Test Lab vary in their opinions of whether the front or the back will be safer. Paul has conducted crash tests here at Millbrook Proving Ground for 11 years.
Where would you rather be, the front or the back?
I have a lot of information on how the dummy will perform in the front, and an occupant, I have very little information how it performs in the rear, so I'd probably play safe and go for the front.
As the technicians secured the dummies and set up the enormous winch, I retired to a safe distance.
The more I've been doing this and preparing, I've been getting a bit paranoid, thinking, I've been putting people in the back of my car, friends and family, thinking that's the most relaxing, luxurious position to be in. But actually, it might not be the safest.
So, where would you sit? It's time for some hardcore research.
I can see the dust from the airbag still.
Yes, to keep away from that, it's not the nicest of stuff. You can see the pedal intrusion. The thing that concerns me here is this pedal is rigid.
Yeah.
It's absolutely solid and it's gone into the tibia.
Sort of the shin.
Just looking at the steering wheel, it's, that's not so good. That lower rim has contacted the dummy's chest.
Which is why it's bent.
Yeah. To bend the rim on your ribs, it's painful.
But what about the rear passenger?
On the face of it, this guy looks like he's had a better ride than this one.
Yes, on the face of it.
But
you can see the stretch on the belt.
Yeah,
there.
You can see there's quite a whiplash mark on the T-shirt.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes, very.
Really, look, it's dug right into its false skin.
If it does that on the skin, I wonder what it does to your
That's quite
chest
heavy
skin.
going, isn't it? Looking at it fresh on the scene now, which do you think is the safest occupant? This one? This one?
I'd like to look at the films first. I'd like to see how the dummy behaved in the test.
In slow motion, you can see the airbag cushioning the driver, but this can't prevent the bottom half of the steering wheel and the pedals causing bone-breaking injuries. For the chap in the front, this collision could have been fatal. The passenger in the back is catapulted forwards and cops a face full of knee. He would have suffered severe whiplash, but our experts concluded his injuries were much less severe than those suffered by the man in the front. In this test, despite there being no airbag, the back seat was safest. But our experts also agreed that the scenario could be reversed in newer cars. Airbags are getting more and more sophisticated, and stronger crash structures mean pedals are less likely to break your legs, so drivers are becoming ever more protected. And while the bulkier structures of modern front seats may be better at preventing whiplash for the driver, their sturdier construction means they're more dangerous for those hitting them from behind. The message is clear. The front of a car is getting safer, while the rear is not. And unless this changes, perhaps with the introduction of rear airbags, those sitting the furthest away from a collision could soon be in the most danger.